I book 50 plus roofing appointments every single day with my cold calling outbound team. In this video, I'm gonna break down exactly the systems that we use, exactly how we hire people, how we find the data, and the exact systems and processes that we use. So the first thing we're gonna go over is finding the right people to call. If you're a roofing company that operates on just storm chasing and looking for people that have been affected by a recent storm or a tornado, what you can do is you're gonna wanna look for exactly where the storm damaged areas are. So you can use a website like Stormer Site. If I go on this website right now, you can see the hail reports today, the different tornado reports that are happening all across the United States. And let's say you're operating in a place like for example, today, there's states with hailstorm. Let's say you're in Texas, right? And you wanna find the exact areas. What I would do is you would click on Texas, and then over here, you'll see here, right? City of Midland, they got an inch of hail, right? So if you're operating in the Midland area and you want to start dialing that area, now you're going to want to find people within that area. So you know to target Midland. And what you're going to use is you're going to go on websites like PropWire, Batch Data, and Deal Machine to actually grab homeowners with phone numbers to skip trace the data, right? So you use these websites like HailTrace and Stormer Site to find the area you want to call, and then you actually use websites like PropWire, Batch Data, and Deal Machine to find the homeowners with phone numbers. So I'll look for a place like Midland, Texas right now. Since I know this got hit by the storm, and I just search up all the leads in this area, right? So there's 73,000 people that live here. So I can just highlight everybody. I can select 10,000 people at a time, and I'll just highlight everybody and just export the data, right? You wanna create a free account here, but this is a free website you can use to actually pull the names and the phone numbers of every people, okay? Once you have this, now you have the audience that you wanna target for your cold callers to start calling. Now we're gonna go over the exact strategy as to what to say to these people over the phone and the different softwares that we're using to be able to connect with these guys. So in terms of dialing strategy, the best time to call people are either in the morning or in the evening. So between 8 to 10 a.m. or between 4 to 7 p.m. The reason why is because most of the time these people are getting ready for work in the morning, or between 4 to 7, they just got home from work and they're open to kind of receiving a phone call. If you call them midday, they're gonna be probably still working, running errands and other stuff, and they're just not gonna give you the time or day to kind of listen in on the pitch that you're giving them, right? In terms of the software, what you want to use when you're calling cold data is you want to use a multi-line dialer. What that means is basically a dialer is a computer system that allows you to call on your computer, okay? A multi-line dialer allows you to call multiple people at once at the same time. So let's say I have the 5-to-1 dialer. That means that as one agent, I'm calling 5 numbers out in one time. So I call 5 people at once. If 2 people answer out of the 5, 1 person gets dropped and the other person gets answered and you talk to them. This is a really efficient process when you're calling with cold calling lists, just because you're gonna be calling so many numbers and you wanna go through them kind of fast. And a lot of the times, these people are not gonna answer the phone. So you wanna be as efficient as possible with your time, which is why you wanna use a multi-line dialer. If you're calling age leads or leads that your team has door knocked or internal leads like that, you're gonna wanna use a 1-to-1 dialer, or you can still use a multi-line dialer, but you wanna keep it a lot smaller, just because these are really hot leads, right? So you wanna connect with every single one of them, and even though you're connecting with a lot of people in the multi-line dialer, you're also burning through a lot of your leads. Like, let's say, again, that same scenario. If I'm calling 5 people at once and 4 people answer, 3 of them are getting dropped and you're only talking to 1 person. If that happens a lot of the times during the day, those people are just gonna block your number. They're gonna think that the number is spam or whatever, right? So you wanna preserve your data. The data is really strong, like an age list. But if it's a cold calling list, then you wanna increase that dialer to maximize your efficiency. So the goal here is to hit around 100 to 150 dials per day per caller. That's kind of the KPI that you want every single one of your cold callers to be in, and they should be booking around 2 appointments per day. Some markets, you're gonna be able to book 3 to 4, especially if it's like a recent storm damage, but a good KPI for every caller to be at is 2 appointments per day. And now diving into the cold calling script. So the first 30 seconds are the most important, right? So this is the opener that our team uses for storm chasing leads. So we say, hey, John, this is Kevin. I'm just working in your area on Main Street. We're looking at all the roofs, making sure you don't have any damage on your roof due to the recent storm. Were you affected in any way? So this is a really good opening, right? We know that there was a storm in that area. And what we're doing here is we're just letting them know, hey, we're working in your area on Main Street, right? Because like when you look at the lead on a dialer, you're gonna be able to see the street name. So they're already their guard is a bit lower just because you're talking about their street name, right? And then we're just asking them, hey, were you affected by the storm? So they're gonna answer us, if they're affected, what's been going on. And then the second part of the script is a hook. Like, why should they listen, right? Like, what's the reason for our call? And the reason for our call was because there's a storm in your area and insurance may cover the damage and our inspections are 100% free. So there's no obligations for them to pay anything right now, and that's our hook, right? We're letting them know there's basically a free roof if you qualify. So that's gonna get them super engaged. And then the third part is that we want to qualify them. So this is where we want to know if they have any leaks or damages, any missing shingles, stuff like that, how old their roof is, and also, what insurance they have, so that, they're qualified, and our roofer or the person that's going to look at that inspection is going to know, they're going to have a lot more details coming into it. And then lastly, you just want to close the appointment. So you want to let them know. So what we're doing here when we're trying to close the appointment is causing a close open loop, right? So we're closing the kind of time frame as to when they can book an appointment with us, because we want them to book as soon as possible. Whenever you book as soon as possible, for next days or same day, the show rate's gonna be a lot higher than rather if you were to book an appointment for next week, right? Like next Friday. So you wanna get the appointment in as soon as possible. And this close open loop is basically asking them, hey, do you have any availability tomorrow in the afternoon? Right? So I'm closing it by only asking them about tomorrow, keeping that in their brain, but I'm opening it up for them as to like, what time works for you tomorrow? It can be, 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., or 5 p.m. But I'm sectioning it in that they can only book for tomorrow, right? We're not opening it up like, hey, what time works for you tomorrow or next week, right? Because they're gonna think about next week, right? But we only want them to book for tomorrow. All right, so that's kind of how we structure our script, and as well as how we do our dialing strategy to make sure that you're converting the most amount of leads possible. So the last thing we'll go over here is actually building your cold calling team to reaching those 50 plus appointments per day, right? So number one thing is you're gonna have to scale your operation, right? And that means hiring more callers, getting more data, and getting that right system. So we already went over how to get the data and how to build the right system. Now we're gonna go over exactly how do you scale a call team, right? How do you hire the right employees and all that kind of stuff. So really how our team does it is that we hire only remote callers. We hire from the Philippines, we hire from Latin America, we hire from Bangladesh, but primarily outside of the United States, of people who speak good English, those are your best bet because the cost of labor is cheaper and they've been in the game for a while. There's a lot of cold calling culture there, and a lot of them have a lot of experience in cold calling. So where do we actually find these guys? So the best place to find these callers are actually gonna be Facebook groups. What you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna go into every single Facebook group, which I'm gonna show you right now. Right, if I hop on Facebook here and I search on Facebook, just cold caller, or like specifically if you're in the roofing industry, roofing call center. Right, if I search this up right here, you can see the filters I'm able to put here. So I'm gonna look for groups. And over here, there's a ton of work from home, solar and roofing call center jobs. There's roofing and roofing contractors. But you primarily wanna look for outbound cold calling. So I can even be a little bit more vague, and I'm just gonna search for call center groups, right? You wanna join every single one of these groups that has over 25,000 members, right? And every single one of these groups, you're gonna wanna post in there kind of your job description. You can see right here, right? This person, they just posted, now hiring part-time call center agents, and these are the qualifications. So the most important qualifications you're gonna want are that they have experience in roofing, so you don't have to train as much. They have good English, they have a working computer, they have a working headset, and they also have good Wi-Fi. Right? Because some of these areas, the Wi-Fi can be very spotty, and also along with our Wi-Fi, they have to have good electricity, okay? Or because some of these areas, like they have very spotty Wi-Fi and very spotty electrical providers, and they're kind of MIA for a lot of times during the day. So you don't want that when you're having them work, hourly. So once you hire these guys, you're gonna wanna, listen to their script And once you kind of filter through all of this and hire some people, now you're gonna wanna go over, their pay structure with them. The way we do things is that we pay them hourly plus bonuses for booked appointments as well as appointments that sit, right? But there's a lot of different things you can do, right? What I recommend is you pay them an hourly and you give them different bonuses depending on your company. So you can bonus them based on them hitting a certain amount of appointments per week. You can bonus them based on how many sits they get in that week, how many closes, all that kind of stuff, right? And that's gonna be a really good structure to kind of keeping your guys and hiring sharks, because there are a lot of companies out there that do a pay per booked appointment kind of deal, like only commission based. But the problem with that is that, so callers like consistency and they like security, right? So having that hourly for them is gonna help them a lot, and you're also gonna be able to get a lot more experienced callers. You are able to get away with just kind of paying them for booked appointment or paying them just on commission only, but a lot of the times you're gonna have trouble, keeping people on if they don't perform 1 week, or also it's gonna be hard to hire sharks because there's a lot of risk for them, right? They really like that security. And then also, add those bonuses, add those close bonuses. It's gonna create a really strong culture of setting quality appointments as well as making sure that the volume is still there, okay? And then lastly, this is probably one of the most important things, is that you need to track their performance, right? You can use a simple Google Sheet, or you can also use a CRM like Go High Level. Probably one of the most important things is gonna be, tracking their KPIs and tracking their performance. So the way to do that is you can either use like a simple Google Sheet, or you can use a CRM like Go High Level, right? And the most important KPIs you're gonna wanna track are kind of how many calls they're taking per day, how many booked appointments they're making per day, and what the conversion rates are in terms of their book appointments to sits, as well as their sits to close deals, right? Then you can kind of filter and see which callers are performing the best, which callers need the most training, and which callers you're gonna wanna promote, right, as managers and stuff. So those KPIs are gonna be super, super crucial to making sure you're running a lean operation and an efficient operation. All right, guys, so we went over kind of everything. So we went over, finding the right people to call, how do you generate that database of people to put into your dialer? We went over the exact dialer software that we use, as well as our script as to how do we connect with these people. And then lastly, we talked about, how to build that cold calling team, how to scale those people, right? That operation. So that's basically everything. If you follow these steps, you'll be able to book, 50 plus appointments per day as to how we're doing it. And if you want us to do it all for you, you can just click a link below and speak to one of our team members. All right, thanks for listening.